right, let's get on to Raw, a shitty program.
It really was.
I wanted to start with Raw because it was so horrible. And there was a moment, I think for an hour and 54 minutes or so, I hated this show so much that I just didn't even want to talk about it. It was like I was thinking, this is the worst show I have ever seen in my whole life.
Near the end there, I said, let's just not do a show tonight.
Sure.
And you did not say no.
No, because an incident occurred, which made this show great.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, everybody. For those of you that have been listening to this show for a long time, I hate the heel ref.
You do.
I hate the heel ref gimmick more than anything else in wrestling. And every time there's a heel ref, I go on these giant tirades, ranting and raving and screaming and kicking and frothing at the mouth. And Eric Bischoff was the heel ref tonight. And I've got to say that he did something so absurd, so completely ridiculous, that it turned this entire show around for me. Because I saw something that just set new standards in the history of the earth. They're doing this heel ref gimmick. Eric Bischoff, I've seen a lot of stupid shit. There's always something like the heel ref wants the babyfaces to lose, but he won't just fast count them. Or he won't just say ring the bell. During this match, Roddy Piper, who makes Ric Flair look chiseled.
Oh, God, yes.
Remember back in the day where everybody was like, Ric Flair needs to wear a shirt, back when Flair was 50? Now he's 57, and he looks like Rick Rude in his prime next to...
Whatever Roddy Piper has become.
Speaking of a bad egg, that's a perfect description of Roddy Piper. He is round and white, and he's bad. So anyway, they're having this match, and Roddy Piper is in a chin lock. Randy Orton has put him in his patented killer chin lock. Eric Bischoff's the heel ref. Eric Bischoff wants Roddy Piper to lose this match. Okay, so Roddy Piper's in this chin lock, and does Eric... Here are your options. Does Eric Bischoff, A, lie and just say, ring the bell?
He submitted.
Did he submit it? Does Eric Bischoff, B, take Roddy Piper's arm and attempt to force it down to the canvas a third time?
He's out cold.
he's out cold, and then ring the bell. The answer is actually C. Eric Bischoff attempted to force Roddy Piper's arm down to the mat, and when it wouldn't go, he just let the match continue. That was the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen in the history of fake refs. And it was so bad, I just started laughing, and the rest of the show, I just forgave everything. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in wrestling.
I liked it even better when they had to distract the heel ref when Orton used a chair.
That was just dumb. Yeah, that was another thing. It was a no DQ match, and Bischoff was the heel, and they couldn't just cheat in front of Bischoff, who hated the babyfaces. They had to distract Eric Bischoff so that they could cheat in a no DQ match. That was really stupid.
And Flair then yelled at Bischoff, who turned around and said, hey, it's no DQ.
Yeah. But that was all stupid, but nothing was dumber than him trying to force down the arm.
And failing.
Because, think about this. If Eric Bischoff would have forced down his arm, he would have felt okay calling for the bell. But he would not have felt okay just going, ring the bell.
Well, you gotta have standards.
Yeah, he had standards. Isn't that the stupidest thing you've ever heard of? I seriously think this was the dumbest thing in the history of heel refs. Seeing Eric Bischoff trying to force down Roddy Piper's arm.
I think it's so stupid that he failed.
That too. He couldn't, with two arms, he couldn't force down Roddy Piper's one arm. This was so dumb.
It sucked.
And it encapsulated this entire shitty program.
This really was horrible.
It was beyond horrible. I don't even have words to describe this Raw, other than just rampant profanity. Fucking shitty, motherfucking horrible, cocksuckingly bad. What else can you say about it?
You invented the word cocksuckingly.
It was so atrocious.
In the matter of a cocksucker.
How could you write a show this bad?
I don't know.
Let's recap it so I can just... Oh, and let me say something else. In today's daily news update here at f4wonline.com, which is available for free to everybody, we're going to have a link to the TNA spoilers. You want to see shit.
Oh, there's more.
I just shake my head. You know, when Vince Russo first first returned and I buried the man, I got all sorts of emails. Oh, Brian, you asshole. You just have a grudge. Give him a chance. Yeah, like you didn't get a chance in 1999. Yeah. Give him another one. Oh, like he didn't get 2 chances before he killed WCW. Like he didn't get a chance in the early days of TNA, which was the worst of TNA. The worst TNA ever was at the beginning with Vince Russo, and they brought the guy back.
Yeah, and I would argue that it's worse now.
Yeah. So anyway, everyone was mad because I said these things about Russo. Then the first big Russo tapings occurred. Actually, really, the first one was the one where Angle and Joe teased the November pay-per-view on the final show before the October pay-per-view. I was still getting emails at that point.
That was not as horrible.
No, but it was still emails like, Brian, give the guy a chance. This ain't that bad, this and that. So then the first set of spoilers came out that involved the Reverse Battle Royal and the pole match.
And the Fight for the Right.
The Fight for the Right tournament. And at this point, I still got a spattering of emails.
That cannot be true.
Like maybe 2.
Were they from vrusso@msn.com?
But I should note that this was only when the spoilers came out. I got no emails when the shows actually aired.
Aha!
No emails like, Brian, you were awfully hard on this when you read the spoilers, but when you actually watched the show, it wasn't that bad. None.
No.
I got no defensive emails. Now, after this set of spoilers came out, I got an email from a former defender who has given up his defenses.
He's acknowledged that Russo doesn't.
He's now
suck.
just saying you were right. Boy, this is shit.
How does that make you feel?
Well, it doesn't. I don't feel any sort of victory because I always knew.
That and now we have to watch it.
Well, we do have to watch it. Now, I don't mind, though. I just love watching this bullshit. I feel bad because TNA is dying and it's going to croak. I feel bad about that, but it's just like thunder at the end. We all knew it was going down. Just like when Disco Inferno was on the show. At the end in WCW, they all knew it was going down. They were just writing shit to try and have some fun.
Well, it worked. I enjoyed watching Thunder.
That's all you can do here at the end of TNA, is you just cackle as it goes down the tubes. And the shit they've done on this show, I hate to spoil the shows for everybody, but I'm gonna. That big Kurt Angle Abyss match, remember that one?
Sure.
Abyss, by the way, won the Fight for the Right tournament.
As we pretty much all knew he would.
Beating AJ Styles, but not clean. Okay, so first off, he doesn't even become number 1 contender clean. It's a fuck finish. That's not all, though. So you've got this match with Abyss and Kurt Angle on the special. And we already figured you either have Kurt Angle lose, which would be dumb.
Right.
You have Abyss, who's the number 1 contender for the show 3 days later, lose, which would be dumb.
Indeed.
Or you have a bunch of run-ins, which would be dumb.
Right.
Okay, well, they chose option B. Abyss tapped out clean to the ankle lock. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So then after Chris Sabin won the belt at the pay-per-view and was not acknowledged the following week, and then the week later he got a match with AJ Styles and immediately lost the championship in 4 minutes, AJ lost the belt to Chris Daniels the next week.
Oh, it's his partner.
Yeah.
Because they had one argument.
Sure. I could go on and on.
Stupid.
I could go on and on, but we're just going to get on to Raw because somehow this tirade, this TNA bullshit, stemmed from Raw's shittiness. I don't know how, but it did.
The shit's become indistinguishable.
Oh, yeah. So
no, Raw's better than TNA.
No, well, maybe. At least TNA was funny in its shittiness. Raw was just so horrible I wanted to slit my own throat.
I don't recall laughing at TNA. I recall laughing at the way we reacted to it.
Sure, that's at least funny.
I do recall at one point, and it was not a conscious decision. It was not, I will do this thing and then it'll be funny.
You get going and you just start laughing at how stupid it is.
When they first announced that whatever the Christian pull on the Rhino pole match, whatever it was, and I just threw my hands up and walked out of the room.
Oh, one more thing I'm going to spoil for everybody. The big Christian versus Rhino match in the cage with the barbed wire on the top where they each have a box with their name on it that involves gimmicks. Yes. Christian won.
Okay.
That's another one of those classic feuds where the babyface lost every match.
Every single fucking match.
He lost every match in the feud.
Sucks to be Rhino.
Who ever heard of such a thing? When else did that happen?
Tommy Dreamer, but
no,
they knew how to do it.
It happened some other time this year, like Matt Hardy or something.
Yeah, that was another one.
Somebody brought
Even then he won the cage match.
Yeah, so I guess that wouldn't count. Yeah, Rhino, the big babyface, lost every match.
Every single fucking match.
Boy, we're going to have fun this week. Next couple of weeks is going to be good times here on the Brian and Vinny Show as we just bury every product available.
On that note, how was Raw?
Raw, there was a big argument today. Was Kevin Federline going to be at Raw? I said yes, Dave said no.
Thank God you were right.
I think Dave... Technically Dave won.
Okay.
He was not there tonight, but he was on the show. So I guess in some ways you could call it a tie.
I called it a victory.
Okay. Well, Kevin Federline was there. He did a promo on the big screen, and he basically challenged John Cena to... And it was a great heel promo.
Oh, this was fantastic.
Especially the line about how... I challenge you to a match in any of my many hometowns.
Yes, any of the many cities in which Brittany and I live.
Anyway, he challenged him to a match on New Year's Day on Raw. Technically, it'd be New Year's Eve, but he said New Year's Day, like it's going to be during a snowstorm or something. But they're going to have a match, him and John Cena, a wrestling match. And Cena ended up accepting it later on in the... I'm just going to jump around here on this show, but... Cena came out after Umaga had destroyed Maria, which actually occurred, and it was just as horrible as it sounds. Cena accepted the match, and all I have to say is John Cena is a diamond in the rough that is Raw.
Oh, God, yes.
He is a shining star in the cloudy night of 2006 wrestling.
Wow, that was poetic.
And he's one of the only ones. He's one of the only bright things on this entire fucking miserable, shitty program.
Well, that segment, you got to kind of go back about 3 segments because Bischoff booked this match. In fact, you got to go back more before that. Bischoff was named GM of Raw because Vince McMahon liked the job he did reffing at the pay-per-view.
Sure.
So, one of his first actions is to book Maria versus Umaga. Why, you ask? Because, as he pointed out, at the trial last December, she buried him.
Yeah.
What?
Well, this was my first thought. I like how sometimes we're supposed to remember a storyline from December of the previous year.
Virtually a year ago.
And other weeks, we're not supposed to remember what happened 2 weeks prior.
Yeah. There was no video recap to remind us. They just said, you buried me at the trial in December.
At the trial.
The trial.
He didn't even say my trial. This could have been Saddam's trial. Just a trial.
Maria showed up at the Saddam hearings to bury Eric Bischoff.
Yeah,
yes.
a trial in December. That could have been anything.
Yes. So he booked her the match and said if she did not go through with it, she was fired.
And by the way, I'd like to say one thing about Maria. If I could draw comics like cartoons, and my job was to draw a hot girl cartoon, it'd be Maria.
Pretty much, yeah.
Just perfect, tiny little features, curly hair, giant eyes.
Giant eyes, yes.
Yeah, she's like a cartoon character come to life. And she's beautiful.
Except hot, yeah.
But go on.
So, yes, here's the match. So, yes, Maria's faced with a choice, wrestle Umaga or be fired. In storyline, why wouldn't she just quit? Why would she choose instead to wrestle the 300-pound unbeaten Samoan Savage?
God knows she couldn't go to SmackDown.
Lord knows there's no other work for this woman out in the Northern World.
Well, seriously, she can't go to SmackDown. That's a huge step down for a Raw star.
Yeah. So they're out there. The coach drags her out there, and Umaga comes out, and then Umaga beat her up.
Yes.
No one wanted to see this. No one enjoyed it. The crowd died.
Everyone was dead.
And he hit a Samoan drop, and he hit the ass spot in the corner, and I don't think it was as violent as the time he actually broke a woman's rib on Raw, which was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in wrestling. But
yeah.
After doing this, Cena's music played, and he ran out.
No, he ran out right before the thumb.
Well, yeah.
He was fine.
Umaga, yeah.
He was fine with the Samoan drop and the ass first bump in the corner.
Yes,
but once that thumb came
Armando
out,
broke the cigar, and that was the cue to hit the music, and that was the cue for Cena to run out because
maybe thought they were going to violate her with the cigar, and that was too much for him.
Or he wanted to take part in it. But
that could also be.
But yes, yes.
Did he take the cigar after he beat up Umaga and his
don't
manager?
Oh. But point being, they could have just had Cena run out and save Maria from the beating, and everyone would have been a lot happier.
No, they had to beat her up.
And I mean, everyone would have been a lot happier. But no. Umaga did, in fact, beat her up. Cena chased him away, and he was... Todd Grisham then came in to interview Cena, and his exact question was, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
The fact that Todd had prevented, or Cena had prevented a possible murder on live TV, that was not obvious to Todd. He couldn't understand what brought Cena to these parts. And John Cena, for about 3 seconds, was just completely indignant about the stupidity of all this.
Yeah.
And then he was so angry about what had just happened that he began to cut a promo.
And it was a great promo.
Well, it was a great promo, but and ironically, it was a promo about how things were not making sense. But the fact that he was even cutting a promo was the worst, most nonsensical thing about the whole thing. But then
Why was that nonsensical?
Because he was so angry.
I know, but there was no one else around. He gave.
Maria did in fact disappear.
Yeah, Maria was carted to the back. Umaga ran for the hills, and he FU'd Todd Grisham. There was no one left. Of course, he's going to cut a fucking promo. That was hardly the dumbest thing on this fucking show.
Well, it was dumb.
If you say so, I thought it was great.
He apparently did not care about Maria anymore and was not.
Well, she was being carted to the back for medical attention. Was he going to go give her CPR?
He seemed completely unconcerned about her.
Well, listen. I completely disagree with you here. Because when he ran down, he sent Umaga packing, and the first thing he did was go over to the corner with Maria. Mm-hmm. And then they had the EMTs come down and start tending to her. And then fucking Todd came down, and he's like, okay, well, the EMTs are taking care of her. I'll talk to this jackass, and then give him an FU. That's a thumbs up.
Well, he did, in fact, give him an FU.
Of all the stupid shit that we've seen in the last 3 weeks, this is the bottom of the list of stupidities. And it was a great promo.
He did, in fact, cut a great promo. He accepted Federline's challenge. He set a challenge for Umaga at some unmentioned later date. He buried Todd Grisham. It was fine.
Boy, I took the wind out of your sails. I'm fine with that. Boo! All right, where were we?
I don't know. We're not going in any order.
How did you even get into that rant? Me just talking about how great Cena was, and you decided to rant about how
No, I gave my fucking opinion, and you shot it down again.
Okay, good. That's deserving of it. That was deserving of it being shut down. Sometimes we agree and you're right, or disagree and you're right. About once every 8 months. And even then, I lie about it. This was not one of those times. So, what else was on this show of any note whatsoever? We had Jeff Hardy and Johnny Nitro. Johnny Nitro won the championship after it was restarted and made a no DQ match. This was fine. Nothing spectacular or anything like that. Had a big segment with Bischoff, Flair, Roddy Piper's egg-like gut, Edge, and Orton, which set up a no DQ match in the main event, which we've already talked about. That I guess we might as well jump to that one to say what happened. Bischoff was a ref, took a bump, DX came down, they beat up Orton, Shawn gave him the super kick, and somebody pinned him. Flair? Who pinned...
Hunter dragged Flair over to put him on top. And
yes, so Flair pinned him, and then so DX got their heat back, they chased off the baby faces. People were upset about this, but again, this was far from the stupidest thing I've seen in wrestling this week.
Yeah, and it led to the best segment of the whole show.
It led to a Actually, the best segment on the show was Roddy Piper's arm attempting to be forced down.
No. I didn't even notice it until you brought it up.
Well, I'll let you talk about that segment then.
Well, you
didn't notice when he was trying to push down Roddy Piper's arm? You were laughing about it.
I was laughing at Roddy.
Jesus.
So DX chased away Orton and Edge and Lita, and they were left alone in the ring with Eric Bischoff, and they wanted to beat him up some, and they caught out Big Dick Johnson, which ordinarily is not great. We've seen the Fat Stripper before. We've seen it. We're done with it. I don't think anyone thinks the Fat Stripper is still funny. What was funny, however, was Shawn Michaels dancing to Big Dick Johnson's music, and then even better, Hunter Hearst Helmsley joined in. And these three men came in, and they danced in a circle around Eric Bischoff, and it was the most beautiful thing I have ever seen in my life. I could have watched this over and over and over again. Hunter, Shawn, and Big Dick Johnson having a dance party. That's
sort of a lie. Because there was a moment during this where you outright stated, this is going on too long.
It did. Well, that was after they stopped dancing. Shawn and Hunter held up Eric, and Big Dick went to all four corners and pranced on. But yes, but for the first part, when it was just the three of them, mostly Hunter. Just Hunter dancing is always good times. But yeah, we need more dancing in wrestling.
Other random shittiness on the show included Melina, just being Melina. Eugene and Hacksaw broke up, and Eugene turned on Hacksaw. They had a match with the Spirit Squad where the losing team had to break up forever. Of course, teasing that it would be the Spirit Squad since it's like this year-long gimmick. Everybody knows they're breaking up, so they keep not breaking them up.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha! You put one over on us. And now Eugene and Hacksaw broke up, which we would care about even less.
Really, I'm fine with that.
Boy, You showed us. So now we get to see a shitty feud with a heel Eugene and hacksaw James Duggan.
That sounds awful.
Shitty. We had another horrible performance from Carlito, who did the worst comeback in the history of this business. And goddamn, he's bad. Am I the only one that sees this?
No.
Jesus Christ, he's horrible.
When he was not on the first hour of the show, it crossed my mind, maybe they just fired him.
No.
But no, he is still Carlito. He's going to be feuding with Shelton Benjamin, apparently.
Woo! We haven't seen that one for a year. So then we had the Maria Umaga shit. We had Mickie James versus Lita, where the stipulation was that Mickie had to have one arm tied behind her back. I should note that with one arm tied behind her back, she not only had a better match than they had last night, but she had a better match than Carlito did and outworked Carlito on this very show.
Indeed.
He sucks. And he's got a shitty fucking shirt.
He does.
It says
eat spit on the back.
Yeah, eat spit, and it's yellow. Who would ever buy that?
I don't know.
Name one person in this world.
I don't want to know them.
Yeah, if you were my son, I wouldn't buy that shirt.
Fuck no.
God, he's an idiot. So, Chris Masters beat Bischoff, who also was handcuffed to the ropes. Lawler, whoever. So, they used the same gimmick twice in 20 minutes. Always great.
Back-to-back segments, I think.
No, it wasn't.
Fuck.
But Chris Masters, he's bad.
When they handcuffed Lawler to the ropes and this started, I actually thought Lawler may beat him with a punch and handcuffed to the ropes. But
he still outworked him. That was saying something.
Yeah.
And Crime Time did some commentary, which was the very definition of overkill. Anything else of any nature, of any...
Speaking of overkill, Ron Simmons said damn again.
Yeah, he did. It was overkill tonight. It is now officially alternating. Every other time he's done it, it's been funny. And every other time he's done it, it's not been funny. Tonight, it was not funny. And that's really it for the show. It was such a thumbs down. Here is why this show sucked a dick. As everybody knows, and as was the subject of a gigantic shitty thread on our board today, you think Craig's daughter is dead to you, the board is dead to me after today.
Yeah.
Okay, listen. Not announcing the Survivor Series matches on TV is dumb. I ain't getting in a big argument. It's dumb. Take my word for it. They are doing a deal where all the Survivor Series matches are being announced on WWE.com starting tomorrow. Not starting today.
They didn't even mention the show.
No, they didn't even plug it on the show. Well, they may have during one of the things we fast-forwarded through, but they sure didn't make it clear enough that we remember.
No.
But anyway, the point is they're going to announce these matches on WWE.com starting Tuesday at 3 o'clock p.m. Not Monday, where they could actually announce the first match on Raw. So we now, instead of having 3 Raws to promote Survivor Series, we have 2. Okay? Stupid. So anyway, instead of using this Raw tonight to promote Survivor Series, which the idea is people buy the show and you make $14 per person you convince to buy the show, they instead spend this entire show. The point of this whole show was to sell Eric Bischoff books.
Yes.
The book is $19.95 or something like that, so their cut per book is about $2. This was more important to them than selling pay-per-views. Yay, WWE. You guys are retarded. Raw. Raw was largely boring, but as I noted, it had one good match, and it was the best show-long performance in the career of Shawn Michaels. Speaking of silent films, this man would have been a star.
Oh, God.
He saved every single segment that they were involved in. There was a show-long storyline, opened up with Coach coming out, and by the way, the first 50 minutes of the show were insufferable.
Nothing happened.
DX came out and begged for cheers for way too long. To the point where Coach came out and I was overjoyed to see this man. So he announced that there was a $10,000 US, since we were in Manchester, bounty on the head of DX, and the show was all about folks trying to collect. And 9 out of 10 skits were horrible, yet saved by Shawn Michaels. I guarantee if you would have taken Shawn Michaels out of these skits, you would have said, this is the worst TV there's ever been.
Yeah.
And the most fascinating of all involved Crime Time. Basically, they agreed to leave the building, and they asked Coach if, since they were taking themselves out, they could have the $10,000. He said, of course not, but they stole it behind his back. So they're outside the building, and they see Crime Time scalping tickets. So Hunter goes up and asks, you got any tickets? And they respond in the usual Crime Time fashion. And Hunter's like, I have no idea what they just said. Shawn Michaels says, I speak jive.
Mm-hmm.
And he proceeded to go speak to Crime Time in what I guess was jive. Perhaps Ebonics is now politically incorrect. I don't know anymore. I don't follow the politics of...
Well, I speak jive is a great line from the classic movie Airplane.
The English language.
So.
Well, it's always good when you reference a movie from 1976 or whatever. But anyway, the point is, so they got the tickets, and then at the end, Hunter made some shizzle comment or something, and they laughed at him. And I thought, I am watching a segment in which Hunter Hearst Helmsley is the biggest dork in the world.
Yes. That was very odd.
I thought I was in the Twilight Zone. I have never seen anything like that before. I was like, who wrote that?
Mm-hmm.
Who got away with it is a better term. B, why did Hunter okay this?
Yeah.
It was just very amazing. Hunter is usually very smart about, that was the big argument that we had a couple of weeks ago. Is Hunter smart or stupid? I argue he's stupid because he's going to get the business and he should do what's best for business. Everyone else is like, he only does what's best for Hunter. And I try to point out that what's best for Hunter is, in fact, what's best for the business. But this went over many heads. But the point was, what's best for Hunter was not this segment.
No.
So explain that, everybody.
I don't know. It was odd.
And just wait till George St. Pierre gets his ass whooped on this this coming Saturday. The party I will have on this show. I'm telling you right now, the post-UFC party when Matt Hughes beats George... I have nothing against George St. Pierre.
You just want to be right.
I just want to be right. I'm not usually like this.
Oh, you don't... So tell me more.
In this situation, I want to be right. And when this is over, there's going to be a party the likes of which the F4W Empire has never seen.
Cool.
I promised this party when I beat you in the match, but I did not beat you, so the party did not come to fruition. But
shucks.
When George St. Pierre is humbled, humbled, I would go as far as to say, then, indeed, we shall have a party.
Break his back, make him humble, and then fuck his ass.
Yes.
That party sounds horrible.
What are we talking about here?
Raw. We got one segment in.
Oh, there's another part of the opening segment that was insufferable. DX faced Cage, Murdoch, Viscera, and Haas, and they defeated them.
There you go.
Not much more to say. So anyway, Spirit Squad tried to collect the bounty. They failed. Again, Shawn Michaels was the star. Although this whole thing was actually very good because it was one long take. Mm-hmm. Everybody had to be in perfect position, and it went off without a hitch.
Yeah.
So, and I can't imagine this was done live. There's no way.
I guarantee it's not. But
this had to have been but I mean, they had to. Shawn had just worked, so they at least had to go out of the way for the
water or
continuity of. Does it look like I need a drink of water?
You keep clearing your throat.
Yeah, maybe I have a frog in it.
Okay, I apologize for showing concern for your well-being.
What the hell's water? My well-being. Yeah, I'll never forget Uncle Fred had that frog in his throat, and it took his life.
Okay.
That was a...
I apologize for being annoyed by your voice.
Oh, now you reveal it. You didn't care. You were annoyed.
God, you're a cock.
Lightning Hopkins, who was a great man, and as I noted on the last show, way cooler than you. He believed that every performance that he did was just given by God. Everyone was great.
Wow.
So if he was doing a song and there was something in his throat, he'd just cough and keep going. And there was no, hey, can we do that one again? No. Lightning coughed because he meant to cough. And thus, there are songs where, in fact, he coughs and just fucking keeps going. I believe every cough on this show is a cough given by God. Why should I start over, clear my throat? Turning you down for a minute. I just want control here. Power hungry. Losing my mind. So anyway, Kenny and Johnny faced the Highlanders, and the Highlanders actually lost. Kenny and Johnny. Basically, Kenny knocked Johnny into Highlander A, who fell off the apron, and then he pinned Highlander B. And Johnny was very upset, so they're breaking them up. Which is odd because they won. Shouldn't they have lost and then teased dissension? They're winning multiple matches and teasing dissension. This is dumb. Furthermore, it's dumb. If you want to break up the Spirit Squad, great. But why not give Kenny and Johnny a chance as a tag team? Because they're a fine tag team. Why not go with it for 6 months and then break them up? I don't have an answer. No, I don't. Lawler faced Chris Masters in the Masterlock Challenge. Jerry the King Lawler showed the whole world how to do this. The only person that did a remotely similar job was, coincidentally, Shawn Michaels. These are the only two men that actually got the folks into the Masterlock Challenge. The folks sometimes got into it just because it was the Masterlock Challenge and they had been, in a Pavlovian way, I guess, trained to pop when the babyface almost escaped. But this was a deal where every time Jerry Lawler looked up, the place was just going crazy. Like, holy shit, he's going to really do it. This was just great. Jerry Lawler deserves a raise, especially after he was defeated, taken to the back, and Todd fucking Grisham did the rest of the show. This man sucks a cock. I have no kinder way to say it. This guy, when Todd Grisham did commentary for the Eddie DVD or the Benoit DVD or whatever DVD it was, what DVD was it, man? I'll let you speak for a minute here since you reviewed it.
It was the Benoit DVD.
Okay. So anyway, when he did commentary for the Benoit DVD, he was just a blooming moron. Like, I was waiting for the other commentators to actually physically assault him during the commentary track. And I hated him. I called him that cocksucker from the Benoit DVD, which eventually got shortened to TCS, that cocksucker. And, God, I hated him. But the more I saw of Todd Grisham doing wacky skits on WWE.com and press conferences, and just, it struck me that Todd is a gigantic dork. He understands it. He goes with it. And he's funny in a wacky sort of goofball, cornball way. In a strange way, he sort of began to grow on me. Now, with that said, as a guy who I believe actually is funny, he was so painfully unfunny on this show. He was unfunny to the point where I experienced physical pain in my abdomen, in my trapezius, in my spleen, various other places as well. It just made me very sad. He was so bad.
You're right, Brian. He was very bad.
You might throw something in there.
A completely random point to turn me back up.
Well, I thought you might throw in that you felt it in your penis or something.
Todd Grisham makes me feel nothing in my penis.
God, he was bad. Was he not bad?
Oh, he's awful. He is the worst. Quite possibly tonight was the worst announcing I ever heard. The kicker to which was we're skipping ahead on the show a bit, but
I need something to drink.
You don't fucking say.
You carry on for a while. I'm gonna go get a.
We're gonna skip ahead of the show in a bit. Johnny Nitro regained the Intercontinental title from Jeff Hardy, and or excuse me, I got it backwards. Jeff Hardy regained it from Johnny Nitro. That title switched so much I can't remember who's champ anymore. But anyway, Jeff Hardy wins the title. He's the new Intercontinental Champion, and Johnny Nitro was upset, so he immediately beat him up and put the boots to him and gave him a good solid thrashing and worked him over. And TCS, in response to this beating, replied, if he had known he was going to get this beating, he may have just chosen to lose the match instead. So yes, winning the Intercontinental title is now not worth taking a beating at the hands of Johnny Nitro. It's trivial. It's not important. It's better to stay at home and not get beat than to be Intercontinental Champion.
I'm better now.
Okay.
Actually, the best was when he was just making random bad sexual comments, and Jim Ross was just like, "You're dumb."
There was, I forget what he said, but he said something, and Ross no-sold it, and Todd realized how dumb it was, and it's like,
Well, I'm sitting here in this chair.
I apologize. I'm in Lawler's chair, and yeah.
It sort of took over on me. He was just awful. Mm-hmm. Just fantastically horrible awful. But yes, there was a title change. Johnny Nitro, Jeff Hardy for the IC title. Boy, that water did a shitload of good right there. Jeff Hardy beat Johnny Nitro. Another title change.
Yeah, I was confused.
Title changed hands last week. Now it changed hands again. Last week, I didn't know why it changed hands. No logical explanation. Did the show with Dave, asked him, no logical explanation. The explanation was so they could change it again 7 days later. And they have set up a ladder match for this coming Monday's show, again, for the title. Why didn't Jeff Hardy just not win it at the pay-per-view? And then Johnny Nitro would not have won it back, so he could have just put it up in the ladder match.
I've lost track of it all. I don't know.
I don't understand this show sometimes.
It's passed us by.
There was a number of different wacky skits. Eugene. Oh, here was the dumbest of them all. Eugene and a bunch of other guys tried to collect on the bounty. So they're in the restroom, DX, and Hunter goes into a stall, and there's Chris Masters. The stall door closes. You hear the stall door opens, and Chris Masters has been laid out. And I thought, of all the guys standing around in the back doing nothing, your idea was to devote an entire segment to getting Chris Masters over by having him do this Master Lock challenge with Jerry Lawler, which actually got over.
Yeah.
And then in the very next segment, you have Hunter Hearst Helmsley beat him up in 3 seconds in a bathroom stall and make him look like the biggest loser in the history of wrestling.
Correct.
That is the worst booking I've ever heard of today.
Think about it.
God, these people are just idiots. John Cena faced Umaga. God damn it.
You tried booze.
Jesus.
Have you been smoking?
Oh, yeah. I took up nicotine. John Cena and Umaga was a nothing match. Went about a minute before Big Show ran in the biggest pair of sweatpants there's ever been. I thought you were fat. They could have put 8 Vinces in this pair of sweatpants. In each leg, amazingly.
He's a large man.
I don't even know how you even get a pair of sweatpants this big.
That actually is a great question. I always wonder, where does Viscera go shopping?
Well, I mean, you have your own tailor. But, you know, when you make a pair of pants, there's like seams up the side and the crotch and all that sort of thing. Sweatpants are different. I don't see a tailor making one pair of sweatpants. You know what I mean? That just seems weird. I'm not a tailor, okay? But to me, it seems like sweats are something you mass produce. And pants are something that would be easier to make just one pair of.
You are so asking the wrong guy.
Well, why don't you just like, why am I even into this? What? but I guess that also begs the question, if you're going to have a tailor make you one pair of trousers, why would you go, how about some sweats?
No, not khakis, not jeans.
Yeah, why not jeans, khakis,
not slacks,
wind pants,
sweats.
Yeah, make me just the biggest pair of sweats you can. So anyway, he was also wearing either leather slippers or dress shoes. Either one. Fashion faux pas. So anyway, they double-teamed and beat up John Cena, who has no friends. Not one person came out to save him.
Yeah.
What a loser he looked like. I just want to throw in the term Benny Hill, so nobody on the board freaks out. So I'll move on now.
It was great.
Tori Wilson did a segment with Carlito.
It was not great.
Speaking of uncool dorks.
Oh, my God.
God. Carlito is the most uncool guy in the history of guys with gimmicks where they're supposed to be cool.
Yeah.
Even DX has a gimmick that they're supposed to be cool, and they're so much cooler than Carlito.
Yeah. Oh,
He's
God.
like the ultimate uncool guy. And that's his gimmick. That he's cool. He spits in the face of people that aren't cool. Who does Carlito find that he goes, that dude's less cool than me? Yep. Eugene's way cooler. He wears his clothes inside out and his hair's all fucked up.
I love your definition of cool. I'm not disagreeing with you, by the way. I'm just pointing out that. Anyway,
I can just rattle off a list of guys in the show, and they're all cooler than Carlito.
Chris Masters?
Oh, he's cooler.
Yeah.
He at least lifts weights.
Sure. Jerry Lawler is most certainly cooler.
Oh, God, yeah. Even with his bad toupee, he's cooler.
By leaps and bounds.
Ross is cooler.
Oh, Jesus, yes.
Todd Grisham, that's a tough one. Todd Grisham is
very close.
Todd Grisham has, in fact, been in segments where he's been cool.
Okay.
And Carlito is never. I don't think I've ever seen a skit with Carlito where it's like, yeah, that dude's pretty cool. Yeah. When you spit that apple on that guy, that old guy there in Puerto Rico, that was pretty cool of him. Yeah. Never once have I went, cool dude. That's a cool fucker right there. Yep. So, anyway, she invited him to crash at her place, and he was all giddy and jumping up and down. Like, just a dork.
Like a virgin.
God, like a dork. So anyway, then we had Lita and Mickie James. They had a match. This was where I got up and just left for a while. My brain had it had taken too much. Because Lita came out and she's like, I got good news and bad news. The good news is you're not going to have one arm tied behind your back. The bad news is you're going to have both legs shackled together. And I thought, what? Where? When did they shoot the angle where Lita can make matches, stipulations, and such? Did I miss something here?
Perhaps it was on Heat.
Did she blow the coach on WWE.com?
Actually, that's not impossible.
What did I miss? Every week she comes out and just makes a match. This is like Vicky Guerrero on SmackDown, just made a match. Chris Benoit, I am booking you in a match with Chavo Guerrero for your championship at the next pay-per-view. Okay, Vicky.
I don't know.
Stupid.
It is stupid.
Why do some people have this? Is it just like, maybe it's like the Paul Heyman deal where he says, I'm going to have an open contract and just whoever comes and gets it can have it.
Apparently, Mickie James signed a contract and left the stipulations portion
No,
blank.
no, I'm thinking everybody can just make any matches in any stipulations that they want, but just only a few people are smart enough to actually do it.
Maybe that's it then.
Vicky Guerrero just sat home one day and went, Lita just made this match last week for absolutely no logical reason. So what the fuck? I'm going to try it on SmackDown. I'm going to make a match for Survivor Series with my man Chavo against Benoit for the IC. And she did it, and it flew.
Sure.
The U.S. title. Sorry, everybody.
Doesn't matter.
I don't need 8 threads about that fuck up. The board's actually been fine lately. I apologize to the board. I'm mad at life, and I'm taking it out on the board. So I'm sorry about that. Then we had the main event of the... Oh, by the way, Mickey won with a DDT in a match that involved DX acting like marks at ringside, a salami, and mustard.
This is the weakest salami shot I ever saw.
She hit her with a salami, and Todd Grisham said, that's probably not the first time Lita's been hit in the face with a salami, but that one probably hurt the worst. And Ross just was like, uh-huh. So anyway, we're going to go to the next segment now. So we had Orton and Edge against Flair and Piper. A man who will remain nameless sent me a IM and suggested that Roddy Piper was in fact legally too fat to work in the UK.
Entirely possible.
Regardless, he came out and was immediately beaten up by the bad guys and given a one-man concerto, which is called a concerto since it will never be a two-manner again, since Christian has left the company. So that left Ric Flair all alone against Orton and Edge. They started the match anyway. That was nice. Flair was defeated by the bad guys. They are the new tag team champions. 2 title changes on this show in the UK. And they put the belts on Orton and Edge, but it had to be 2-on-1 against a 57-year-old man. God knows, they couldn't have Flair and Piper do a job. It had to be 2-on-1 against the old guy. So yeah, Edge and Orton super over now as a result of this championship win. DX ran down afterwards. Security came down to escort them out, and DX beat up security, who apparently did not have any, weapons at their disposal as security guards.
Nope.
Thank God I live here in the U.S. where security's tight. Over there in the U.K., whew,
It's all in the honor system.
it's all in the honor system, and those dishonorable Americans beat up the security guards, so assholes, what they were. Yep, that was the end of the show. Boring.
Hey.
Largely boring.
Thank God for Sean and nothing else.
Thank God for Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid.
That's what they call him.
Raw opened up with Cena coming out with his entire team, Kane, Lashley, RVD, and Sabu. They were all in the ring together, and there was something about this that did not look right. And I think it was because the ring is very big, and Cena had the mic, and he was standing out in front of everybody, and the other four guys were like standing there in the background, and the other four just looked like B-team dorks. And particularly Lashley, who may end up being the ECW champion in 2 weeks, he did not need to look like a B-team dork. So then they had Edge's crew come down. It was Edge, Orton, Nitro, Mike Knox, and Gregory Helms. And they were all in a little band, very close together, practically hugging, and they actually looked like a gang. They looked like a force to be reckoned with. That was good. And Orton's talking about something or other, and I had no idea what was going on. And so then out came Flair's group, which consisted of Arn, Sarge, and Dusty Rhodes. There is still no fourth man. Roddy Piper is currently hospitalized with a, I believe, C-section, and thus they're looking for a fifth man for the team at the Survivor Series.
That was funny.
That's good. Glad I got Vince with that one. So, yeah. Anyway, they came out and started yelling back and forth, and then the Spirit Squad came out, and then Michaels and Hunter came out with Punk, Matt, and Jeff Hardy, and finally Big Show came out with Finlay, MVP, Tess, and Umaga, and it was just 8 million men, all scattered around the building, all talking. I have no idea what they were talking about. And a couple of weeks back, when WWE announced that they were going to be giving out these Survivor Series matches on WWE.com starting on a Tuesday, thus eliminating one Raw from the 3 weeks that they had to promote Survivor Series, and people were like, Brian, come on, that's not that big a deal. They've still got 2 weeks. They don't need 3 weeks to promote Survivor Series. Well, I hope you enjoyed this segment, as they attempted to shoot 3 weeks worth of angles in 10 minutes. It was such a complicated, absurd clusterfuck. I don't even know what anybody was saying. I don't even know who was mad at who for what. They brought out so many teams that I didn't know what teams were facing each other. It's just everybody out yelling at each other. So they were all about to hit the ring for a Royal Rumble, which I don't know if Sean, his gimmick is that he's that stupid or if he actually fucked up. Vince is nodding like his gimmick is that he's that stupid, but that is like when you're a top star and you don't know what pay-per-view Sunday, if that was on purpose, that's bad writing. I would prefer to think that Shawn Michaels was just dumb and that he actually thought that the Royal Rumble was coming up on Sunday, which, given the fact that there were 30 men randomly stationed in the crowd yelling at each other, is a very likely possibility. So they were all about to hit the ring, and out came Vince McMahon, and he said, "This is bullshit. We're not having Survivor Series tonight. The only booker in pro wrestling today that actually understands how to build up a pay-per-view." He's like, "We're not doing this tonight, but I'll make you a deal. We'll have all of the main eventers, all the captains in a match tonight." It was Cena, Flair, and DX versus Edge, Orton, Big Show, and Kenny. Kenny was, in fact, a champion, or a captain. And they were in the all-captains 8-man tag team match at the end of the show. And then Vince kind of winked, and he said, "I guarantee tonight will be a match or a night you'll never forget." And now that it's over, I have no idea what happened tonight that we were supposed to never forget. At least anything that had anything to do with the 8-man captains-only tag team match. I will never forget Lita's promo. Lita cut a fantastic promo. We will get to that in a moment. So anyway, this was a giant bullshitty segment. So thumbs down for that little piece right there. Umaga faced Sabu, a very forgettable match. Sabu did a wacky springboard. Umaga caught him in midair and then thumbed him in the throat. And by catching him in midair, what I mean was Sabu sprang off the ropes, did a half turn, and landed on his feet, and Umaga just grabbed him. So I'm not sure what Sabu was trying to do, but it failed. It probably would have failed whether he'd been grabbed or not, but he got thumbed in the throat, pinned. That was the end of young Sabu. Raw 1, ECW 0. They announced that the Hardys would be reuniting for the ECW show tomorrow night for free. It's our first match together in many, many years. They'll be reuniting on ECW, which will get a 1.5. Tori was shooting some t-shirts into the crowd. Chris Masters came out, who was slightly larger than he has been in the past. Masters said Tori had a big gun, but not as big as his. And so Carlito came out and said, "No, you've got a little pistol." And they got in a bad brawl. Carlito was escorting young Tori out of the ring, and when he returned, Carlito put him in the master lock, and then Jerry Lawler made the save. And that was the end. I don't know why. I don't understand this whole Chris Masters thing. He got pushed really hard last week, and then he got beaten up in a bathroom stall. Now he's attacking girls, and Jerry Lawler is making the save for him when he beats up Carlito. They did not announce any sort of match. I don't believe we've got Chris Masters and Jerry Lawler at Survivor Series. Perhaps that'll be the dark match. I don't have an answer for you. This sucked. So then they plugged the Cena K-Fed match for New Year's Raw. It is still on. Vince is over there giving a big thumbs up, so he approves as well. Todd interviewed Nitro and Melina. They dedicated the victory tonight to young K-Fed. Johnny Nitro called Jeff Hardy a poser. He said every time Jeff got in the ring, the odds were 50-50 that he would kill himself. Those odds were going to go way up tonight. He was, in fact, a prophet. And that was that. Spirit Squad was having a wacky meeting backstage, trying to figure out who was going to face Dusty Rhodes. And Johnny volunteered, but Kenny hates him. So he said no. I believe Mitch? Was it Mitch? Nick. Nick was going to get him. And I thought, why the fuck would you give Nick to Dusty Rhodes? But that was the plan. So they noticed Flair. He was over there macking. He was in his robe, backstage, ballroom dancing with Candace. I don't know why.
Because he's Ric Flair.
Because he's Ric Flair. And so anyway, Kenny went up to him, said that at the pay-per-view, youth was going to prevail, and this somehow led to Ron Simmons saying damn. And he has a new damn shirt, by the way. It's a black shirt, and in block letters, it just says damn. Yeah. And the best thing about it is that they're going to sell thousands of them. It's times like this where I just think, you know, this company's got it all together. They've got it all together. Then we had the ladder match. Jeff Hardy and Johnny Nitro for the IC title in a ladder match. It was, I can't say it was every ladder match you've ever seen. It started out that way as Nitro got the ladder and Jeff dropkicked into his gut. Every ladder match must start with that spot. They did a bunch of other stuff. 2 ladders ended up becoming involved. I guess the 2 defining moments in the match were when Jeff Hardy tried a senton and landed back first on the ladder. Johnny Nitro threw a dropkick off the top of the ladder and landed on his face, gut, and knees. And as a prophet myself, I would like to make the prediction that Johnny Nitro, prior to the end of the year 2008, will undergo knee surgery. I guarantee that one. And Jeff Hardy is very likely to be a candidate for back surgery by the age of 40. They had a very good match. There was a lot of downtime between big spots, but it was pretty damn good. Nitro took a sunset flip powerbomb off the ladder. His head hit the canvas in such a way that if the dinosaurs were still alive, they would now be dead. And he laid there. Jeff put the ladder on top of him, climbed up, grabbed the belt, got the win. I'd say probably 3.25, 3.5 stars, somewhere in that range. Not spectacular or anything like that. The people were into some of the craziness, but, but hey, you don't often see 3.5 stars matches on Raw. In fact, I'm trying to think of the last one. It may have actually been the last time Jeff Hardy and Johnny Nitro had a match, but Dusty Rhodes faced Nikki. Vinny has given this a big thumbs up. I've got to agree. I do have to say that in all fairness, the crowd did not want to see Dusty Rhodes go 5 minutes and do a lot of selling. They wanted to see Dusty come out, wiggle his penis, and beat the man in 30 seconds. Instead, they had a competitive match. It's so funny. Just the visual of Dusty. Ric Flair spins his penis around on airplanes. Why should Dusty be any different? Because he's fatter?
That's one. There's only one Ric Flair.
That is also true. I may actually turn you up for this match because I know how much you enjoyed it, but I'm going to finish here first. So, Dusty came out, and he did nothing for approximately 2 minutes. And the place was just going crazy. And I thought, you're great. So then they did a lockup, and Nikki... Actually, this was a match where Dusty did the whole match by himself. They did a lockup, and Dusty just sold his eye. I don't even think Nikki actually did anything. So he's selling his eye, and Nick starts kicking him real hard in the leg and working on the leg. And this was where the crowd died, because they don't want to see this 62-year-old man selling his leg. So finally, Dusty did his big comeback. He threw Nikki into the ropes, and he put his elbow in the air, and Nikki ran into it and sold it like he had been taken out with a shotgun. And then he dropped the big Abdullah the Butcher elbow and got the pinfall. Now, for all you young wrestlers out there, let me give you a little lesson on how things are. Dusty Rhodes never did a whole hell of a lot. He did a lot of laying in a puddle of blood. He did a lot of gyrating. He did a lot of wiggling. And he did some elbow shots, and that was most of his career. I know Lyndon Walker's probably going to send me a mean email, but let's be serious, everybody. But the point is that because that is the style that Dusty Rhodes worked, and he found a way to make that style work, Dusty Rhodes will be 110 years old and having these matches with the son of Reed Flair. And I will be enjoying every second of it. And I bring that up because I once saw a match with Abdullah the Butcher in Japan. He was about, I'd say, 300 years old at the time. The match consisted of his opponent immediately hitting him with an object, punching him as Abdullah the Butcher sat there on his knees. Abdullah gigged, or he may have just spontaneously busted open, which is a real possibility. The man continued to beat him repeatedly for about 3 minutes, and then suddenly Abdullah the Butcher gave him a karate thrust to the throat and did a waddling elbow, and one of his breasts covered the man's face, and he got the pin. And it worked. And the place went absolutely ballistic, and Abdullah the Butcher will be 500 years old and this fat and doing the same thing. Now, the reason I bring this up is because there are a lot of youngsters today, AJ Styles, Chris Daniels, Jeff Hardy, folks that have a very specific sort of style that when they're 80 years old, you ain't going to want to see Jeff Hardy having a match with Reed Flair's son. It'll be a sad, sad day. Pick your spots, kids. Pick your spots. Vinny, do you have any comments on this match? Just nod yes or no. If you nod no, I won't even turn it up. You don't even have any comments? Okay.
You covered it.
Well, let's just move on now. Lita faced Mickie James again. They have a feud which consists of them having a match every week. This week, Lita came out and said that you are going to be blindfolded. So Coach came out with a gimmick blindfold, put it on her head. They had the match. Lita won, obviously. She hit her with a DDT, and you would think, Penner. Well, you'd think wrong. I don't know if it was because Lita, this was her final match that she is going to win, and she wanted to get that one last moonsault in before her career's over, or what the deal was, but Lita went up to the top rope, and granted, these blindfold, they are gimmicks. You can see, but you obviously can't see like you can with no blindfold on. And Mickey's vision was impaired by this sack over her head. And fucking Lita, 2 thighs right to the jaw. And Mickey didn't even pretend to not be hurt. She immediately sat up, grabbing her jaw. She had to be pushed back down for the pinfall. 2 refs hit the ring. The doctor in the white lab coat hit the ring. Everybody hit the ring. She looked totally fucked up. We'll have an update in the morning, but it didn't look good. That's the bad news. The good news is that Lita cut the best promo of her whole entire life. And this actually reminded me of a promo. Now, the difference, I'll tell you what it reminded me of first. Years back, before, I believe, the 1991 SummerSlam, I may have the SummerSlam wrong, but Bret Hart and Curt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, were going to have a match for the Intercontinental title. And Mr. Perfect was the champion. And his back was totally fucked up. And he couldn't do a goddamn thing. And they were still going to have their match on Sunday. And if I recall correctly, it was one of the great matches of the 90s. I'll never forget this match. I love this fucking match. But Mr. Perfect did not reveal that he was hurt. He did not reveal that he was going to be leaving after this particular match. He came out on whatever the show was that they had at the time. Perhaps it was Primetime Wrestling. I believe this was before Raw. It may have been Raw. My timeline. I think Raw was 93, wasn't it? Jesus Christ, how can I not remember this? But anyway, Mr. Perfect came out on television, and all he did was he pinned this jobber in one move. He gave him the suplex and pinned him or whatever. Maybe he didn't even do this fisherman suplex. He may have just hit him with an elbow or something and not. But anyway, the point was he grabbed the mic and he just cut this promo, and he said, Sunday, you are going to see the greatest match of all time with me and Bret Hart. And I didn't really know what was going on. I wasn't in tune with things at the time. But there was a sense of finality about this promo. There was a sense of defiance, really. Like Mr. Perfect just basically saying, I'm fucked, I'm done, but God damn it, I'm going out, I'm going to have one more match, and I'm going to have a fucking great one. And that was Lita's promo. Except Lita had 7 years of I don't know what pent up. I don't know, Lita. I'm sure that, after 7 years, you got to get used to the crack whore chants. You'd think she would have gotten a thick skin fairly early, but she was passionate here tonight. She was passionate. She said, you people don't realize who I am. I am the woman that opened the door. I'm the woman that brought women's wrestling to the WWE. There were no moonsaults before me. There were no Lita Conranas, which, what the hell? Might as well say it. No one's ever actually called it that, really, except maybe Jim Ross here and there. But she goes, there was nothing like that. Without me, there would be no Mickie James. She goes, I inspired a generation of girls here in WWE. There would be no Trish Stratus. And Sunday, she said, I'm going to retire, and I'm going to retire the greatest women's champion of all time. This promo was so awesome. This was like one of the great promos of the fucking year. And the only thing that I didn't like about it, but what the hell can you do? She said, I'm going to one-up Trish. I'm going to walk into Survivor Series, the champion. I'm going to walk out with the belt, and I'm going to keep walking. And I thought, well, Trish walked out with the belt too, and she also kept walking. So I don't know how you're going to one-up her, but sure. Let's just go with the story. Lita gets such a gigantic thumbs up. She gets a gigantic thumbs up. She said she broke her neck. True. Blew out her knees. True. And all the people did was call her a crack whore. True. So, God bless Lita. God bless her. She's getting out of this fucking sport alive. She'll be continuing with her band, the Lucha Gores. I love that name. Did you know that?
I think I did.
The Lucha Gores. That's the name of her band. And doing local acting, which basically means a bunch of student films for absolutely no money whatsoever. And
That's what I've heard.
But it's fun. And I guess when you have the money to do it, what the hell? She ain't going broke anytime soon. She saved her cash. So, is there anything you'd like to say about the Lita segment there, Vinny? Yeah. Oh, okay.
This is probably not as good a comparison as Curt Hennig, since that's another retiring wrestler, but it reminded me of that one Joey Styles promo from earlier this year, because Lita had one great promo in her, and this was it.
Yeah.
And it was basically her. What the hell was that noise?
It was me coughing and a car driving by.
Car drove by was what it was. But it was like you say, it was 7 years of bitterness over what we're not exactly sure, but it was just everything she had to say, and she got it out at once, and it was great. And pretty much everything she said was right, by the way.
Well, you know what? I'm going to turn you down for principle. I'll turn you back up when I'm done with my rant here, but here's you mentioned Joey Styles' promo and Lita's promo here being similar, and they were. And this also ties back into Lita's desire to do acting. All this was, these two promos, was two people being allowed to go out and speak from the heart. Now, granted, she doesn't hate the fans. I guarantee she doesn't hate the fans. But there was that passion there. There was that passion. She has broken her neck. She has injured her knees. I'm sure she believes that without her, there would not be a women's division like there is today. I'm sure that she probably in her heart believes she is the greatest women's champion in the history of WWE. And it was the same with Joey Styles. He got to go out, he got to write his own promo, and he got to speak from the heart. And this all ties back to Dusty Rhodes, who had a great promo tonight, by the way. It was 5 seconds long and the best 5-second promo I ever heard in my life. But the point is, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, all of these guys who complain about the promos today, and they all make the same comment, these old school guys. It's too scripted. Guys are being asked to say words that they would never say. They're being asked to basically cut promos that are so far from what they really believe or can get into in any way. I mean, they can't even suspend their own disbelief. And if the performer can't suspend his own fucking disbelief, how are we supposed to? And this was this promo here, and Joey Styles' promo, both of these promos harken back to the day. Back in the day where they said, go out there, you got 5 minutes, make sure you let people know it's you and Mickie James on Sunday and you're retiring. And that's what this is, and it was fucking great. Now, will WWE figure this out and loosen the reins? Hell no. But this was great. Thumbs up. Anything more on this comment here, on this segment?
Quick note as to the opposite of that, and this is one example. I could pick up 100, but about a month ago, Test came out in ECW and said, "My ruthlessness has no bounds." I don't see Andrew Martin walking backstage and going, "Hey, Big Show, my ruthlessness. No bounds. None whatsoever. None.
No bounds.
No bounds for my ruthlessness. Nope."
That's why I hate Kennedy's promos. They're so stupid.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to believe that Ken Kennedy really thinks that SmackDown was nothing before he arrived.
And he's too good for the show.
He's too good for the show. He's surpassed The Undertaker. He's, what other bullshit statements does he make?
Beaten 5 world champions.
Yeah, like, that's never been done before. I've beaten 5 world champions this year. Okay, in WWE, anybody who hasn't beaten 5 world champions in about the last month is a loser. Everybody's a fucking world champion. The main event of the show tonight, everybody was a world champion, and you had Kenny in there, who is a world tag team champion.
There you go. Yeah.
Kenny! Everybody on this fucking show is a champion. Jesus Christ! I could go back on the show tonight and look at the list of people. I bet every single person on the entire show that worked a match was a former world champion, whether it be the world tag champions, the world champion,
the various brands, the various.
Perhaps the Intercontinental champion would not be the world, but it is intercontinental. There are a number of continents. Thus, it's worldwide.
It literally means the same thing.
It's so stupid anyway. Wow, you beat 5. It's such a.
I'm actually trying to think about that now, because Umaga was a tag team champion years and years and years ago.
Well, let's go through the list of matches.
Okay.
Umaga.
Former tag champ.
Sabu.
Former ECW champ.
Let me go down here. Jeff Hardy, obviously.
Both he and Johnny Nitro, former world tag team champs.
Nitro, sure. Dusty.
Yes.
Nikki.
Okay, there's one.
Nikki's a former tag champ. They were all tag team champions.
There, you're right. That's right.
Lita.
Women's champ.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Mickey.
Women's champ.
And then we had Cena.
Yes.
Check. Flair. Check. Shawn. Check. Orton. Check. Edge. Check. Kenny. Check. Big Show. Check.
And Hunter.
Check. I just put DX randomly.
And Vince cut a promo.
Former World Heavyweight Champion, Vince McMahon.
Yes.
Missing anybody? Maria and Todd Grisham, I guess, are the only 2 losers, but they didn't have a match. Lawler?
Check.
God, has Ross won any tag titles? He has to have at some point in some stupid angle.
There was Carlito and Masters. They may have never won anything. Carlito was an Intercontinental champ.
I think they were tag champs together, weren't they?
They may have been.
Now I gotta look this up. Masters did work the show. Let's see.
And what a loser he is, by the way, if he's the only guy on the show who's never been champion of the world.
Who has not been a champion of the earth. Let's see here.
Welcome to 2006.
He is Southern Tag Team Champion for Ohio Valley. Does that count? That would be a regional title, I'm afraid.
It has the word Southern.
Although that is a regional promotion for the... who else do we mention? Carlito?
Yeah.
I'm sure Well, Intercontinental Champion, obviously.
Okay, we'll count that. It's fine. So, yeah. Masters, you suck.
Chris Masters, you're the suckiest guy on the whole fucking show. What a dork. Let's get on to the main event. It was a 6-man. It was an 8-man.
Yeah. Big Show was in it, so it was a 9-man.
Yep. It's impossible to have a 6 or 8-man match on Raw that is bad.
Yes.
This was not great, but it was good. Shawn Michaels was the babyface in peril, as he always is, and he's always great. And ended up with Cena getting the hot tag. Place went nuts. He clotheslined, actually about 8 men clotheslined Big Show outside. He hit Kenny, believe it or not. Swear to God, Kenny, with the FU. Pinned him. Place went crazy. And then the show ended with everybody running to the ring to start that battle royal Vince wouldn't allow. And then Vince was like, cut the goddamn show off! And it just ended.
And they did.
That's what we were missing, was Vince freaking out backstage and throwing down a headset and go, cut the satellite feed!
The one thing I do have to add to this during this segment where we skipped over me was Vince said that when he was announcing the main event, he was listing the men, and he says, Randy Orton, Edge, Kenny. And there was met with just a wave of apathy took over the show, and Vince said, I'll say it again, Kenny. Which
Yep.
was a joke. I mean, they know he's Kenny.
Yeah. We watched Raw. It was a pretty good show. Mm-hmm. I got no real major complaints about it, but there's a lot of news coming out. It was a very newsworthy show for a number of reasons. Opened up with Flair coming out, challenging the Spirit Squad. Long story short, ended up with Shawn, Flair, and Hunter versus the Spirit Squad. Went all the way through a commercial break. Hunter had vowed this was the last time we would ever see the Spirit Squad. They actually had a far more... let me say this. I knew they were leaving. So at first I thought, this is a far more competitive match than you would think they would give a group that they are defeating soundly and sending packing, literally. With that said, the finish was all 3 of DX putting all the Spirit Squad guys in a triple figure 4 and getting the triple submission. And really, I don't know if it would have worked as well as it did if the Spirit Squad hadn't been put over at least nominally strong.
Yeah.
So, that was my explanation for that whole thing. They beat the Spirit Squad, like I said, triple submission. Flair looked like he was about to cry afterwards. He was very emotional. I presume the reason for this was because word came out today that Roddy Piper has cancer, and that information is up on the front page of F4W Online, but I presume that's the reason there, but he was in quite the state afterwards, so... Everybody was celebrating with him, lifting his hands up in the air, that sort of thing. And then, after commercial, DX put the Spirit Squad in a box.
They put him in a box.
And they sent him to Ohio Valley Wrestling in Louisville.
They slapped a giant sticker on it that said OVW Louisville.
They mailed them.
They had a wacky skit with the OPS guy, which I presume is because UPS wouldn't let them use their logo, but they shipped them in a box to Louisville. They said they would be there by Christmas. Yeah.
Yep.
They're done.
The Spirit Squad is finished. I had very mixed feelings about this. It was wacky. It was funny. It's probably a little too inside, because I bet if I asked 15 of my casual fan friends, 14 would have no idea what Ohio Valley is.
I am 99% sure this is the first time the letters OVW were ever put on Raw.
Probably. I do think that most fans probably figured out that because it was 3 letters, it was some wacky promotion somewhere that nobody had ever heard of that they were being sent to. So I guess in that sense it worked. But between this and the Mike Knox deal and some other stuff, I wouldn't mind if Mike Knox went back to Ohio Valley forever and I never saw him again. I wouldn't be sad if half the Spirit Squad went to Ohio Valley and I never saw them again. With that said, this is very short-sighted by WWE. They don't have a lot of rising stars, and to be burying them in this manner, Chris Masters is another one, to just be burying these guys, and it's not like they've got a developmental system or a number of developmental systems across the country where they're just churning out Rocks and Steve Austins.
The next big stars are supposed to be Deuce and Domino.
They're fucking churning out the Spirit Squad and Mike Knox.
Yeah.
And you send those guys back, and what you're going to get in return is another Mike Knox and another Mitch.
Yeah.
Okay, they need to work on developmental. The best period WWE ever had was when they had winners coming out of developmental. The Kurt Angles and the Rocks and the guys like that. Now they've got geeks coming out of developmental. There are problems with the developmental system. They need more developmental systems, and they cannot be sacrificing guys like this and making fools of them because they don't have a ton of new guys coming up to take their spots. Who's coming up to replace the Spirit Squad? If it is Deuce and Domino, I'll kill myself.
That won't work.
MVP just got recently brought up.
Yep.
Not ready.
No.
Not ready. Ken Kennedy got called up way too early. I don't even want to get into Mike Knox and all these guys, but the point is they need to work on this because this is a problem.
I also love that the first time they ever mentioned OVW on Raw, and it's a very derogatory term. This is where wrestlers go when they suck.
Yeah.
And I've always said, you know, in pro sports, when someone has a good college career, they use that to hype up the athlete. Here's so-and-so. Here's Matt Leinart. He won national championships and a Heisman Trophy. In Raw, you could say, here's Brock Lesnar. He's a former OVW tag champion. No mention.
No.
Here's Shelton Benjamin, multiple-time tag champion. John Cena, OVW champion, OVW tag champion. Nope, nothing.
Or better yet, they call up MVP after acknowledging no other companies and saying he was a huge star elsewhere. What does that mean?
Perhaps in an E-Fed somewhere.
Is it this mysterious Ohio Valley place where men are sent when they suck? Is that where MVP was a great man at? No one knows.
Oh, no. So, yeah, this was just odd.
Yep, this was lame. So anyway, then we had the announcement that the Hardys issued an open challenge for the ECW pay-per-view. It was accepted by Joey Mercury and Johnny Nitro, who are reunited as M&M for one day.
Yeah. Joey Mercury, the Nitro Molina were very happy to introduce him. No mention of the fact they were fighting last time we saw him. And Mercury cut this great promo about how they were back together and they were unstoppable, and he went through all their catchphrases, and then he added at the end, one night only, and then I was just very, very, very sad. And I know they think Johnny Nitro is going to be. Apparently, I think they think it's going to be big, but he's not going to be fighting for the world title anytime soon. You couldn't keep Eminem together until Mania or SummerSlam or something. No, one night only.
I wonder why you can't just do something with these new tag teams. They've got Edge and Orton. They've got Eminem. They've got Hardys.
Yeah.
And what are we getting out of this? We're getting Matt Hardy going back to SmackDown in a couple of weeks to keep fighting Gregory Helms.
Yeah.
And we've got Jeff Hardy returning to fight Carlito for the 8,000th time.
Yep.
As opposed to actually trying to do something different. But what the hell can you do? We had the Women's Over-the-Top Battle Royal, which ended with Victoria becoming the new number one contender to the women's title. Tori, Victoria, Melina, Maria, and Candice are the chicks left. Hell of a division there, WWE. Hell of a division. Victoria, here's the story, by the way, on Candice's broken nose. She broke her nose. The story was it was the last kick in the match where she was leading over the top rope and Victoria kicked her. I don't think that's what happened. I believe that about 30 seconds into the match, Victoria gave her a knee to the nose and broke her nose. Because if you watch the match, she went down and stayed down, holding her face the entire time.
And crawled across the ring and disappeared for a while.
She just laid there forever. And I think what happened at that point is they called an audible. She told the ref. Word got to the back, and they decided to, I guess, work that into the storyline at the end. Because as soon as Victoria kicked her, all the announcers were like, oh, she may have suffered a broken nose. And there's no way that a broken nose that had just occurred would have been talked about in such a manner. So I'm pretty sure that that's what happened there. But regardless, she really broke her nose. Gonna have to have surgery.
That sucks.
Good job, Victoria. Hell of a job there with the non-athlete, hitting her as hard as you can in the face with your knee. And And that was that. This was not Candace's fault, by the way. I don't want to hear anybody say this was Candace's fault. When you're taking a knee or a punch or whatever, you're giving your face to a person.
Particularly like that. It's not like she could have turned her head.
When you feed a baby face for your comeback, you are walking at them with your face. And you are feeding them your face so that they can fake punch it. When you feed them your face and they punch you as hard as they can right in the nose, that's their fault.
Well, this wasn't different because this wasn't even like a running knee. Victoria
grabbed her head
with both hands and brought her knee straight up into the nose.
Yes. She should be fired, quite frankly, for that one. That annoyed me greatly. But anyway, she will be getting a title shot as a result of
as
this.
Things often go.
And I got to give a giant thumbs up to young Candace, who ended up working this whole fucking match with a broken nose. I don't know if anyone here listening to this, I'm sure some of you have, but not everybody. It sucks getting hit in the nose. Mm-hmm. There ain't nothing worse than getting hit in the nose. Nothing.
Yeah.
And she got her nose broken and continued wrestling this entire match. So she's a trooper.
She is indeed.
Eugene faced Jim Duggan in a horrible match. Less said about this, the better. Eugene is a crazed retard.
He is now an evil retard.
That's pretty much, they flat out said that. He cut a promo saying, "Don't laugh at me. I'm special. I'm special. Damn it, I'm special." Why not just say he's retarded? If you're going to do something so, you know what I mean?
So retarded?
Well, it's just like, it's like, I just hate shit like this where the storyline is he's retarded, but we're too big a pussy to actually use the term retarded. So we're going to use special.
I see.
So I mean, it's like they're doing it. Either go with it or don't do it. Are you going to be offensive or not? It's offensive now. So why the fuck don't you go with it? Because you're worried about being a little too offensive? Well, don't do the fucking angle then.
Yeah. Plus, the angle just sucks.
It's horrible.
He's an evil retard.
He should have jumped into the box and went back to
Ohio. You should have taken me with you.
God. So, anyway, DX met with Dusty backstage and had a meeting that Vince loved.
DX needs to meet with Dusty every show.
Well, go for it.
He can tell them how cool they are. That's all. Dusty was Dusty, and he said, "Hey, I know you guys have no respect for anyone or anything, but
please don't do a Dusty impersonation."
I was actually trying to, and it sucked so bad. But
Mike Sempervive can do it. You can't.
Fair enough. But the bottom line is, he told them it was very cool.
Yes,
and they were flattered. And this led to Sean saying, "Hey, we're having a party for Flair later," and Sean is of course now Dork Sean, where he talked about all the stuff he's going to have for the party, including sodas and games, and if they were very lucky, a karaoke machine.
Yes.
And Dusty and Arn Anderson was also there. They were not impressed, so Hunter assured them there would be booze and broads. And they were happy. So these four men all left together.
Yes.
And that was their excuse to get them out of the building.
Yeah, by the way, the story was they were going to have this party for Flair, and he was in taking a shower. And
they left him.
Yeah.
I just thought of that.
No, I thought about that when Flair was getting beaten on, and the announcers were going, I guess we should jump to that. Edge came out and said he had a special guest for the evening who ended up being Ric Flair, and actually, we didn't find out who it was until Orton dragged Flair's body down in the ring,
yep.
and Flair was covered with blood and selling it like he literally had died.
Yes.
And the announcers were going on, because Edge was going, where are your friends DX? Where are they now? And the announcers were like, well, they've left the building. And I was like, why the fuck did they leave the building?
They're having a party for the guy. They didn't bring him with them?
They're having a party for Ric Flair, and they left the building when he was in the shower.
Without Ric Flair.
A hell of a party here. I guess Sean was so excited to karaoke, and Hunter was so excited about the broads, they just left the poor fucking guy.
They forgot Flair.
They forgot the guest of honor. They just left him at the building. So
things happen.
He was killed. Edge and Orton absolutely, utterly destroyed him, and they said they were sending a message to DX. Flair is going to be gone for a while. He is not retiring. I believe this is related to his divorce proceedings with his wife, Beth. The word several weeks ago, as noted in the newsletter, was that November was going to be the month. This is the month all hell is going to break loose. And apparently preparations are underway for this hell to break loose, because Flair is going to be out of the Raw picture for a short period of time. So I'm hoping this divorce settlement does not end with Beth getting the rights to the name Ric Flair, because that would suck.
Oh, God, that would suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not retiring, kids. That's the whole thing. And by the way, we mentioned Roddy Piper earlier. He has been diagnosed with lymphoma. I was not sure about this story because it was only announced on his website, but it is now pretty much everywhere, so I am presuming that it is confirmed, although it appearing on WWE.com in no way confirms anything to me these days.
Ask Corporal Kirshner.
That's the last thing that I believe. And many of the other places, including the Observer site, are pointing to his website. So basically, we all have to assume that the folks on his website are telling the truth, and I'm pretty sure they are, but you just never know, and I don't want to be sitting here talking about a guy having cancer if this is all some sick rib or some sort of crazy thing like that. But the good news is that if this is true, I presume it was caught fairly early, and apparently this is if there's a best type of cancer to get, this is it. There are many individuals who have survived this. There's a good recovery rate, so hopefully everything will be fine with the hot rod, but that is the update on that, and presumably we will have more in the next couple of days. As of this afternoon, about 3 o'clock, WWE was unaware of this, but about an hour later it was up on the website, so I'm hoping that they actually did some sort of confirmation. I did not call Hot Rod. He is not on my speed dial. I have nothing against Hot Rod. He got very upset with me one day over...
well, I'll tell you the truth, he was upset with someone else.
He was actually upset with Dave.
Yeah, he took it out on you.
But he took it out on me. But by the end of the night, we actually shook hands and everything was fine. So I think he just had a bad hour or so.
Had a moment.
He had a moment of being very, very unhappy. But still, yeah, that was the story there. But
regardless, if this is true, then it sucks bad.
It sucks very bad. And people had actually, somebody had made the comment on the website that he would not be able to burn any houses down now. Like I was going to hold some sort of grudge or something, which absolutely is not the case. And that's also not a very funny joke there. I won't mention any names as to posted that on the board, but yeah. So anyway, that's the story on Piper. Hopefully we'll have more in tomorrow's daily news update. So that is the situation right there. And you would think that there would be some news since I'm here in the Northwest. And
he is. Well, in the time I spent driving here, I could have driven to Portland and found out. Yeah.
And I should say one more thing as well, that he left the European tour because he had a lump in his back. And the word out of WWE was that this lump was benign. Now, my assumption would be that if this were a bad case, it probably, you know what I mean? That lump would not have been described as benign.
Yeah, I guess.
I presume they could have run other tests and run into this situation, but I'm just trying to look on the bright side here.
Yeah.
But
it makes sense. They would think, hey, we found this one. We should check if he has any more. Oh, look, he does. Let's do something about this.
Yeah.
So
I don't know anything more about it.
All the best to Hot Rod.
But that is the news there. Speaking of legends, Jerry Lawler and Chris Masters had a wrestling match.
Damn it.
There were Chris takes steroids chants. There was a Masters shrunk sign. This match was not good.
At all.
And it really tells you something when you can have a match with Jerry Lawler and it's boring.
It sucked.
Throw Chris Masters in the box.
I was thinking about the Spirit Squad during their match, and I did not know they were going to be sent packing. And I was thinking, people are tired of the gimmick, and 2 of these guys suck, but 3 of them they don't screw anything up, and they're always in the right place, and everything goes fine, and then they got sent away. Meanwhile, Chris Masters is still on Raw. He may be worse than all 5 guys in the Spirit Squad.
I also,
hard to say because I've not seen that much of Nick.
I also like how with the Spirit Squad, by the way, they seem to be building forever to a match between Kenny and Johnny, and it led to nothing.
Well, it'll probably happen in OVW.
Oh, great. Well, see, it's good that they're building up, maybe Ohio Valley needs all the help it can get, and now the writing crew is doing stuff for them. But anyway,
regardless, this blew.
Lawler won after Carlito spit an apple in Masters' face, so that feud must continue. Weren't we watching that feud last year and it was horrible?
Yeah.
Why would it be any different this year? I don't know.
It may be worse.
Alejandro Numaga came out and challenged Cena to a championship match. Cena came out and accepted. He was massively over. Mm-hmm. I think this show may have taken place at a woman's prison or something of that nature. He was fantastically popular. He accepted the challenge. They looked at each other. Armando said, there will be a better time. And he took his monster away, and it was great.
Oh, my God. This was the best thing they've done in months and months and months. They presented a match. They made fans want to see the match for having both men beat everyone for months.
Yes.
They said this match is going to happen.
Yes.
But it's not going to happen right now.
Yes.
So stay tuned, because it's going to happen. The only thing was...
The actual best part of this was when Umaga left, everybody booed like crazy.
Yes.
Because they wanted to see them fight.
Mm-hmm.
However, Umaga did not back away like a coward.
No. He
was forced back by his manager.
He was very reluctantly.
He was willing to fight, and his manager said, no, not right now.
In the tape review this week, I watched some old UWF stuff with the Freebirds, and there's a bit where Bill Watts is calling Michael Hayes and Terry Gordy to the ring with a bat, and Terry Gordy's ready to go, but Michael Hayes is there to hold him back to play the part of the pussy, so Terry Gordy still looks like a badass.
Yes.
And this is the exact same thing. They had Armando there to be the pussy, so Umaga still looks like a giant badass.
Every now and then, it works when you have a heel just be a pussy and back away for heat, but this was far better.
In this instance, this was much better.
You've got two ass kickers who are not afraid of each other, who are going to have a fight, but the fight was stopped by the manager. This was so perfect, I cannot even believe that the same writing crew wrote this that writes all this other shit.
It was like, had they forgotten how to do this for the past 4 years?
How did they suddenly remember? That's my question.
It's like they found a notebook somewhere on what to do.
Yeah.
It's been lost for years, and they found it.
Like a secret, like a parchment.
The only way this could have been better is they had announced when it was going to happen, but maybe they don't even know that yet.
Well, I think they said I don't know, they didn't actually say
New Year's Revolution is coming up, but that's
sure
a long time.
That was a giant thumbs up, though. Bobby Lashley and Big Show tomorrow on ECW for the title. I guess for the title. They're just having a match. I know that. Kramer was on stage. It was actually Nick Burke playing Kramer. Think about that. There's a little deal for you there. But Crime Time showed up after he did his Kramer ripoff, and this was so bad and so good. There were two hilarious moments. The first was when Kramer started heckling the black folk, and one dude stood up and walked out, as took place in the original cell phone video. And then when Crime Time showed up, he returned.
He ran back to his seat. Ooh, this is going to be good.
He came back and sat down. And the other funny thing was, it was a spoof. So we're supposed to believe that in real life, in this segment, this comic was on stage, somebody heckled him, and he broke down and burst into a racist tirade. Completely unplanned.
Right.
We're supposed to believe that as this completely unplanned moment occurred, Crime Time happened to be backstage.
With their music.
That's the key.
Yes.
With their music.
You never know when Crime Time might strike.
When they came out on the stage, their music played. It was all queued up, and I thought, that's wacky.
It was, in fact, wacky.
That's
what this was. It was a wacky lucha skit.
Yeah, but God, it was horrible.
Outside of those two moments, it really, really fucking sucked. And it seemed to me like the kind of thing they would sit around at a table at like noon today and think, hey, let's do a Crime Time Kramer skit. Okay. And they filmed it, and they should have said, Christ, this sucks.
No, what this is another... It further hammers home the point. How could the same group of people that wrote the Umaga Cena thing write this shit? How?
I don't know. I can see how they come up with the idea, but at some point they should realize, this is a decent idea, but it's not working. God. Just the fact that this aired boggles my mind.
Plus, the quality was horrible since they were spoofing that it was filmed on a cell phone. That made it look even more low rent.
Well, and I mentioned the quality. This is horrible, and you said, "Well, it's a cell phone," and I said, "No, I mean the acting."
And that was horrible too.
Yeah.
But anyway, Orton and Edge versus the Hardys for the tag titles. This is one of those matches where, for at least through the entire first commercial break, and about 5 minutes after that, I just sat there and I was like, "God, this is boring." And I sat there and I thought, when the Hardys reunited on ECW, there was all this energy and the place was going nuts, and it was like a team from the 90s just transplanted. And tonight, it's already the bloom is off the rose or whatever. I mean, all that excitement gone. The fans are just sitting here watching a boring Raw main event. And all of a sudden, Jeff Hardy made his comeback, and it was a new match.
Yeah.
It was a match out of 2001. The place was just going crazy. They did all their wacky moves, and the fans believed every single finish.
Mm-hmm.
And the finish ended up being Edge hitting Jeff or Matt, or one of them, doesn't matter because the announcers couldn't figure out who was who anymore.
JR can no longer keep track of Matt and Jeff Hardy.
It's actually Lawler fucked it up first. They both screwed it up all night. So anyway, Edge did a belt shot, and I sat there and I thought, I don't know why, but that was great. And I thought about it for a while, and this is the conclusion that I have come to.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of belt shots in wrestling. There are a lot of cheap DQs, fuck finishes, as it's called. And to me, it seems like 98% of the fuck finishes that we see in WWE or TNA or wherever else are the result of a booker going, we have two men here. We can't beat either of them. So let's have him hit him with the shillelagh or the belt or whatever.
We have booked ourselves into a corner.
That comes across to me as bullshit. The way this match was worked, the fans were going so nuts, the near falls were so great, that it seemed like Edge and Orton were sure to lose. And the only way they could save their titles was to use a belt. It was like their last ditch. That's the only thing they had left. And for some reason, it worked.
It worked, and I was left with I also thought it worked, and I was left with thinking, so is Matt Hardy on Raw now? Because part of the reason it seemed to me to work was it didn't feel like the end. If Matt Hardy goes back to SmackDown or Jeff Hardy stays on Raw and they never team up again, I may change my mind on if this worked or not. But this seemed to me like a small part of a greater story.
It may have been.
It probably was.
It may have been, but in the end, it was just. And the major part of the story could be that they want their belts and they're mad at DX because the show went off the air with Ross talking about DX and Orton and Edge and that sort of thing. So DX will be back next week and that sort of thing. But I mean, if WWE went to the formula of we will limit ourselves to at most 5 DQs a year and we're going to spread them out. My God, this would have done humongous business if they would have had a rematch at the ECW pay-per-view.
There you go. And it would be build up the rematch.
And by the way, they're doing M&M, which in hindsight, I figured that ECW was going to be Hardy's versus Edge Norton. Why it's not, I got no idea. I have no earth, especially after this finish. Yeah. With this finish, if they would have done a rematch at the ECW pay-per-view, that would have sold 10,000 buys, I'd say. I'm not going to go crazy and say a gigantic number, but
it certainly would have helped. It would sell more than Hardy's versus Eminem.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, the match itself was great. It was, like you say, it was It was a Raw main event match for a while, and then suddenly got awesome. And this is the point where I really noticed the high percentage of female fans in the building. It was.
All I know is when Cena came out. Yeah. Actually, I noticed at the very beginning of the show when Orton. Actually, it was the middle of the show when Orton was there with Flair's carcass. And they cut backstage to Orton, and as soon as they showed him, there were just screams from girls.
Yeah.
And I thought, a lot of ladies here in the crowd tonight.
And in the main event, it was almost like one of those old Rock and Roll Express matches was just shrieking everywhere. Because they believed all the finishes, and more importantly, they cared about who won.
Yeah.
That's always awesome when fans care.
This was a great show.
In hindsight, it really was.
I give this show a giant thumbs up, so... Yep, that was Raw, everybody.